Star Fox, a ragtag team of pilots who help save the world for money. Yep, the Star Fox team was first created in 1993 by demigod Shigeru Miyamoto while exploring a shrine devoted to a flying fox god. He visited it frequently, having to walk through a series of arches to get to it. This inspired the gameplay for the series, which became, of all things, a sci-fi on-rails shooter, and a good one at that. So join us on our mission to revisit classic old games, to seek out new facts and new information, to boldly go where no fan has gone before.
Star Fox, 1993. The first game in the series came out for the Super Nintendo and received much anticipation due to its usage of the Super Fix chip. This fancy-dancy gizmo, created by the clock makers of Agronaut Software, allowed the game to produce true three-dimensional polygons for the very first time.
The story involved a team of furry animals consisting of a fox, a bird, a hare, and a toad, facing off against a mad monkey. It starred animal characters because Miyamoto wanted to avoid the cliches of the science fiction genre, and humans are boring. Good for him.
The game itself was an on-rails shooter with the main objective to blast enemies and defeat huge, complex bosses. Upon release, the game received strong reviews and has since appeared in many greatest games lists. On top of that, there was a Super Star Fox Weekend official competition promotional cartridge, which was used to help market the game. It featured a bonus level and has since become a rare collector's item. Lucky for us, we own one!
Yeah. The game's success led to Fox becoming a popular character, making appearances in other forms of entertainment. He featured in the Nintendo Power Comics and in Kellogg's Cornflakes. And
what?
No, that isn't a typo.
It's not?
No, a special LCD Game & Watch Star Fox game was made, which had 4 levels of intense blasting action. I forgot to mention that came with the Cornflakes. Or, they did a promotional thing with Cornflakes.
Star Fox 2. Cancelled. Shortly after the success of the first game, Nintendo and Agronaut Software got to work on a direct sequel.
It added a strategic element to the gameplay where players could move freely around on a map, and 2 new female characters, Faye and Miyu.
Who were they?
There was a dog and something else, I think it was a cat. The R-Wing could also turn its wings into legs and run around, which was just weird.
It was scheduled to be released in the summer of 1995, but sadly, it was cancelled at the last minute as everyone was going, "Look at that face! In 3D! I want to touch it!"
Shame too, considering the game was more or less finished. Still, several fans got the game and translated it into English, meaning everyone can now play this unreleased installment. Yay to the fans!
Star Fox Virtual Boy. Cancelled.
Shown off as a tech demo at E3 in 2005. 2005? Now that is a typo. Anyway, at E3 1995, Star Fox seemed to be heading to the doomed, headache-inducing Virtual Boy. However, there has been no confirmation whether this was an actual Star Fox game. It just looked like Star Fox.
Anyway, the game never came to be, and only one public image survives to this day. And you're looking at it.
Lylat Wars, 1997.
Wait, what? Lylat Wars?
Yep. I forgot to mention that the first 2 games in the Star Fox series were given different names in Europe in order to avoid trademark issues with a German company called Star Fox, and to avoid confusion with the Atari game Star Fox in 1983. In case you're wondering, Star Fox was called Starwing.
Anyway, Star Fox 64 was a semi-reimagining of the first game and was a huge step for gaming at the time. Reasons included the huge usage of voice acting and the Rumble Pack, a shaky thing that provided force feedback and immersed you further into the animal-dominated world. The game continued the on-rails action of its predecessor, but also introduced a new all-range mode, sections, and Star Wolf, Team Star Fox rivals.
Although technically they first appeared in Star Fox 2.
Now we don't talk about that.
The game received critical acclaim upon release and is often heralded as the pinnacle in the series. I love that word,
Yeah.
pinnacle. It reminds me of Pringles. There was also a Nintendo of Europe manga-style comic, which retold the events of the game.
Here comes our favorite word. On top of that, there was a promotional video where Sony and Sega kidnapped a Nintendo employee to find out more about Star Fox.
You got the time?
Sure, it's,
Hey, aren't you the...
What's this about?
Quiet, bit boy. We'll ask the questions around here.
Wait. Now, doesn't he look like a young Yves Guillemot?
Who?
The president of Ubisoft.
You're right. Maybe this is what he did first before he became in charge.
But he's
of Ubisoft.
American.
And it's called putting on an accent.
Oh. After Star Fox 64, Fox McCloud appeared as a playable fighter in Nintendo's crossover fighting game, Super Smash Bros. In 1999, and its sequel, Super Smash Bros. Melee, in 2001.
He was a respectable fighter who liked to shoot people. Also, there was Falco.
The sexy Falco indeed.
I didn't say sexy.
Star Fox Adventures 2002.
The next installment in the Star Fox series was handled by the legendary Rareware. However, from the offset, you could tell this wasn't meant to be a Star Fox game. In fact, Adventures originally started life on the N64 as Dinosaur Planet, a huge Zelda-esque game featuring two heroes, Crystal and Saber.
However, one day, Shigeru Miyamoto hopped along to the Rare offices and found the similarities between Fox and Saber striking. This one statement caused the game to be reworked as a Star Fox title.
Despite its departure from the series' roots, Adventures was still a solid, enjoyable game with incredible visuals that proved Rare was one of the best in pumping out high-quality graphics. It rivals Xbox One and PS4.
That's a huge statement. It received generally positive reviews, but many criticisms were aimed at its sparing use of the Star Fox license. On top of that, Crystal, who was never meant to be a Star Fox character, became a mainstay in the series. She also made furries go wild. To explain the events leading up to Adventures, a prequel comic was released titled Farewell Beloved Falco. It looks good, and I intend to read it.
Star Fox Assault 2004.
After Adventures' radical departure, Nintendo decided to give the keys to Namco to bring Star Fox back to its roots. Fox returned to his R-Wing to blast down dozens of enemies in gorgeous on-rail action levels. However, he would also have an addiction to getting out and running on foot, using weapons or his Landmaster to tackle ground-based foes.
This time the game featured a different villain, the Aperoids, Borg-like creatures intent on absorbing all living things into its corruptive hive mind. It also featured multiplayer for up to 4 players, which we were too lazy to record gameplay of. Also, Peppy Harris sounds a lot like Martin Sheen as Uncle Ben in The Amazing Spider-Man.
You're a lot like your father. You really are, Peter, and that's a good thing.
Things are looking up, Fox. Keep it up. Keep it up.
That's nice. That's great.
Upon release, the game received average reviews. While the flying levels were heavily praised, the on-foot sections were heavily criticized due to their awkward control scheme. An arcade version was also supposedly being made, but disappeared shortly afterwards, presumably
Cancelled. Star Fox Command 2006. Fox McCloud and his furry cohorts made the jump to Nintendo DS with this strategic action game.
Taking elements from Star Fox 2, Command lets you, well, command your ships to take down enemy forces, all the while defending the Great Fox from potential threats.
The core action mimicked the all-range mode from Star Fox 64, but no on-rails sections made it in. Unless you count the juicy bits where you chase down missiles.
The game also told a news story about Fox getting his team back together and patching up his difficult relationship with Crystal.
The game featured 9 different endings, with some being really bizarre, and had hilarious dialogue, certain to make your nose bleed.
It received surprisingly good reviews, with many critics noting it was a return to form for the series. While they missed the intense on-rail action levels, they were happy that Fox didn't jump out the R-Wing and engage in dance-offs with Chibi Robo. It sold decently and was an overall modest success.
With the Star Fox game being released every 2 years, fans were surely expecting a new entry in the series to appear in 2008. Sadly, that wasn't the case, and throughout the Wii's lifespan, Fox was reduced to minor appearances. A few Star Fox-themed minigames appeared in WarioWare Smooth Moves in 2006, where he shot Rob! Oh, he's shooting him to hell!
And once again, he popped up as a playable fighter in Super Smash Bros. Brawl in 2008, where Falco and Wolf were also playable. However, Star Fox would eventually appear again on the upcoming 3DS.
Oh!
Star Fox 64 3D 2011.
The pinnacle of the series, Star Fox 64, was remade in glorious 3D for Nintendo's sparkling handheld. It was pretty much identical to the original, except it featured dazzling new graphics that brought the original out the dusty home of Courage the Cowardly Dog.
There's also some reworked multiplayer elements which allowed players to look at each other's faces as they got gunned down to smithereens.
It also featured Christopher Walken.
To improve the development team's abilities, Miyamoto threatened that if Star Fox 64 3D was not the best game in the series or didn't sell well, the Star Fox franchise would be discontinued. Apparently he was joking, but I believe he was being absolutely serious. I mean, look at him. There's a reason why he's called a demigod.
Upon release, the game received positive reviews. However, some complaints were aimed at the lack of online play and the fact the game featured no new content. It's a remake, for goodness sake. What do they want? Kill Slippy mode?
Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS and Wii U 2014. Fox McCloud will once again make an appearance as a playable fighter in the upcoming Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U. No news, however, on whether Falco or Wolf will also return. With Star Fox 64 3D effectively restarting the series, hopefully Nintendo will continue it in the same fashion as the delightful Star Trek reboot from 2009, keeping the original games part of the continuity while also charting new adventures. It's all about time travel, baby!
I still hold out hope for a brand new Star Fox adventure, whether it be on 3DS or Wii U. Hopefully this passage of quiet will give birth to a whole heap of new exciting Star Fox games. Yeah, I mean, look at Kirby! Things were relatively dead from the GameCube for him, but on the Wii...
It was a different story.
Yay! You made it in!
His credit wasn't pointless!